So let's talk about TNA Sacrifice 2025, a pay-per-view that was a lot better than I had anticipated it to be. We opened the show with a street fight between Sami Callihan and Mans Warner, who've had like a blood feud going into this. And I like the way we opened the show. Instantly, the match already started. They started brawling on the pre-show, so the match began instantly as soon as the show opened. And that was good. I think it was a good placing for a match that probably would have gotten lost if it was placed in any other position. And Mans Warner ends up winning with the help from Steph Delander. This was the best decision they could have made. Mans Warner is still up and coming in the company, and Sami Callihan is a relatively known name, so having a big victory over him as on the opening match of a card, that's pretty big. Now, what we can do with this is, I think we should still repackage Mans Warner, at least looks-wise. I mean, he has a hot girl on his side, he delivers some pretty good matches, it's just his look is still very bland. So if we can just sort that out, I think he has a big, bright future in the company. We follow that up with Tessa Blanchard having her match with Lei Ying Lee, and Tessa defeats her in a very short amount of time. And I think that was a good decision. There's nothing really to say about this match. It did what it needed to do. Gave Tessa a big match, a big victory on a pay-per-view. That's all that this really was. Now it's pretty obvious with the result for the Knockouts title match later on. We're heading to Masha versus Tessa, and Tessa is probably going to take that belt. Overall, I really liked what happened here, and Tessa had a pretty cool entrance with a singer singing her song, so that was all very cool. I'm glad they're presenting Tessa as a very big star. Then we had a 6-man tag team match, the Rascals with Ace Austin going up against Wesley, Tyson DuPont, and Tyreek Igwe. A match that I've over and over said, the feud has been very boring, and heading into this match, I wasn't excited for it. And I know all of these guys are very athletic, very good, and they put on a great match. It was a solid match. I just couldn't bring myself to really care much about it. But as of right now, I'm glad this feud is finished. The Rascals and Ace Austin win. Makes sense. All the TNA guys won tonight. No NXT guy won. Makes sense. Again, makes sense. And this also kind of just showed us that, like, for the most part, the TNA wrestlers are winning most of these matches, at least recently. Besides Obafemi who defeated Moose, it's been the TNA guys who have been running away with this. The Hardys, Masha Slamovich tonight, and now the Rascals and Ace Austin. You know, TNA isn't doing too bad in this deal. Now, after this, though, I want to see Zachary Wentz go out on his own. Maybe have another run at the X Division Championship. I think that would be good for him. No offense to the Rascals, but right now, they're not really that interesting. And especially with the tag team titles now seemingly having a very clear feud, there's no place for the Rascals. And I think Zachary Wentz could be a really solid singles competitor, especially for the X Division Championship. And when it comes to Ace Austin, he shouldn't go instantly back to that X Division Championship. We should build him up more because, again, he had that potential with that Moose feud, but then we just plopped him into this feud as a background character. So I think we should build him up again. Maybe a feud with like Mustafa Ali or something, but just something else. I don't want to see the Rascals and Ace Austin as a pairing for the future. Then we had Steve Maclin versus Frankie Kazarian in a singles match. Like, this match suffered from what I said Mans Warner and Sami Callihan would offer. It was in the middle of a stacked card and nobody really cared about this match particularly. So Steve Maclin ends up winning with the help of Eric Young, who was on commentary. And I like this. Eric Young is still forcefully entering himself in Steve Maclin's business when Steve Maclin really doesn't need it. But I'm concerned what we're doing with Frankie Kazarian, and especially that Bound for Glory Cup, because I don't see anyone he can realistically cash it in on. I don't think Frankie Kazarian should be the one to take that belt off of Joe Henry. I think that would be an awful decision. And I don't see Kazarian being the one to take it off of Moose. Maybe he can take it off of the person who defeats Moose. Let's say Ace Austin defeats Moose and then Frankie Kazarian instantly cashes it in and takes that belt. I think that could be a solid story. But what I kind of wish would happen in this match was Steve Maclin defeats Frankie Kazarian and wins the Bound for Glory Cup. And Eric Young helped him with that. So now Steve Maclin is benefiting from all of Eric Young's interferences, even when he doesn't want to. But he kind of doesn't want to give the cup back. I think that would have been an interesting route to go to and like really dive into Steve Maclin's psyche. That didn't happen, but this is some fantasy booking. I love to fantasy book these shows. And then finally, goddamn finally, Ash by Elegance, Heather by Elegance, and their personal connoisseur defeat Stanley Luna and Jody Threat Spitfire in a 2-on-3 handicap match. The by Elegance brand is finally women's tag team champions. I've been pushing for this for a long time, and I'm glad it's finally on them. The reason being was there is such a lack of knockout tag teams in TNA, so the way to make the belts relevant is to have people who are heavy character workers or that can do lots of interesting backstage skits with the belts to keep them relevant. And I felt like the By Elegance brand could do that. Like imagine they like come out and they all of a sudden make the belt straps pink and they go on this world tour, quotes, and present the belts, just some funny stuff that keeps the belts relevant without having to constantly have them being defended, because that's not really an option here. Overall, I'm very happy with this decision, and after the match the Meta Girls came out and confronted them. It looks like this is going to be a feud we're getting. I'm really want to see this. It's going to be interesting. A part of me now kind of wish Spitfire kept the belts, because Spitfire versus the Meta Girls, that would have been such a great match and such an interesting feud. But you win some, you lose some. I'm happy I got the By Elegance brand, and I'm happy that we're getting some new women's tag teams. Then we had my most anticipated match of the night, Mustafa Ali versus Mike Santana, and holy crap, Mike Santana is the most awesome motherfucker on this whole brand. I love him, his presentation, everything. He's so cool. Now he lost, but I loved how everything played out. Mustafa Ali defeating Mike Santana was 100% the right decision. I know we're all very hyped about Santana. We're all loving Santana now. But let's be honest, Mustafa Ali defeating him makes him an even bigger babyface and makes us support him even more. Like, this feud should not be over. There's still so much to tell about this feud. It's just so awesome. It's the best feud going right now. I love it. The Knockouts Championship was defended by Master Slamovich. She defended Cora Jade. One of my other more anticipated matches of the card. This was a pretty solid match. Masha Slamovich defeated Cora Jade as expected. A really fine match. I really liked the feud. And now we're heading to Tessa versus Masha. Not much to say, but it's going to be a great feud and I'm happy with how this turned out. Then we had a ladder match for the X Division Championship. Moose, the champion, going up against Jeff Hardy, my favorite wrestler of all time. And Moose ends up winning. He retains the X Division Championship. And I realized during this match, wait, Moose isn't in the steel cage match coming up after this. So the System aren't going to win because Eddie Edwards, Brian Myers, the Colognes, and JDC, they're not going to win that cage match without Moose. And that's what happened to be the case. But I was really happy with this match. It was really entertaining. Jeff Hardy really still has it. Not his best performance ever, but it's always fun seeing him and he really brings his all out for the fans. And I love that. Moose wins. He's still the X Division Championship. Great stuff. And then in the main event, like I mentioned earlier, Joe Henry, Matt Hardy, Elijah, Leon Slater, and Nic Nemeth defeat the System and the Colognes in a cage match, a War Games style cage match. And again, I think everyone was thinking this team is going to win. There was absolutely no way in hell that other team was going to defeat this babyface all-stars. But the big thing that happened was after the match, everyone was getting out. Matt Hardy was still celebrating in the ring. Then Ryan Nemeth got into the ring, locked the cage door, and Nic Nemeth started attacking Matt Hardy. And the Nemeth brothers, they just beat him down brutally. And this was so great. We're obviously heading towards a feud with the Nemeth brothers versus the Hardys. And this was a great way to do it. And the rest of the good guys were outside the ring. They were trying to get back in, but they were just, the Nemeth brothers were hitting the cage with steel steps, making sure they don't get in. This was some great stuff. I'm really invested in this, and I'm excited to see what the outcome for this is on the upcoming TNA episode. My only fear, though, is that, Nic Nemeth, he usually doesn't appear much on the shows, and I'm afraid he's going to get suspended storyline-wise again for his actions, and he's going to be off TV for a while, which it would be a horrible decision if that's what happened, but I'm afraid that might be a possible outcome. But for what this was, just right now, not thinking of the future, this was some great stuff. Honestly, this pay-per-view was a 10 out of 10 for me. I really enjoyed it. It was very fast-paced, like the matches flowed really quickly, and that was really, really good. I really liked it. It felt like all the matches were given enough time to breathe, but also flowed really quickly one onto the other. An amazing pay-per-view. I loved every single second of it. So definitely a 10 out of 10. And I'm so excited to see what's going to happen on TNA this week, because there's so much that was set up on this episode to happen on the next episode of TNA that it's going to be really interesting. So if you want to see what happens there, leave a like and subscribe, because I cover TNA every week and also NXT. So you would be wise to subscribe to the channel. And thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you again soon. Goodbye, everyone.